welcome to the Mini Ball 2016 playoff preview show with your host Swaggy Dodge and that kid PG3. We're going to jump right into it. The playoffs kick off this week. We got really one of you got two marquee matchups here and two teams on opposite ends of the spectrum, the 3 versus the 6 seed. Team Orange versus Team Black. Team Orange enters on a 5-game winning streak, while Team Black enters as the worst team in the league on an 11-game losing streak.
See, my question here will they even show up?
I'm assuming that, if they show up, that's, this is the playoffs, this is where the big time players come out, and I expect them to show up, but, nothing's for sure with Team Black. Assuming they show up, does Black stand a chance in this series?
See, coming out from the start of the season, I thought this team looked decent, nothing wrong with them. Daniel Cox had an amazing first game. But as the season progressed, they showed up less. They started playing worse. And personally, Orange has gotten much better with Evan Nofke coming back after not being there for a few weeks. And them going, like you said, on the 5 straight winning streak. I think Orange has a very strong chance in this first round.
Yeah, you look, it's ironic. Orange actually lost to Black to start the season. They lost by 15 points, and it looked like Black, even against Team Blue, one of the best regular season team in history, they had a really strong game. Daniel Cox had, I think, 14 in that one as well. And then they've just fallen off the face of the earth. And then Team Orange, we did the early season power rankings in the second or third week, and Orange was ranked last and didn't look like they had any hope of making any noise in the playoffs. They weren't playing good basketball, and then Evan Nofke really shows out, and then he has really progressed in his role. Jair is still a great 3-point shooter, and then Brock Smith, it just seems like he's cleaning up the boards every so often, getting put back dunks, and then Evan Nofke really, really progressing his game in driving to the hole, playing much better defense. Doesn't look like Black stands much of a chance. I can't say that they have a 0% chance of winning the series because there's always a chance, especially in mini ball. But I just think Evan and Jay are proved to be way too much, and I see a sweep, and I see Orange. They look like a legitimate team that can compete for a championship.
I see the same thing, and especially as the season progressed, they just got better and better. They're winning games by large margins, I'm pretty sure, at the end of the season. I think I'm going to have Orange in a sweep as well. I don't see Black winning.
Now going to definitely probably a more competitive of the two matchups, the 4 versus 5, Team Red, your Team Red versus Team White. You guys have struggled as of late. You guys were, 4-4, ended the season 1-3. And White actually has the head-to-head against you guys. They beat you guys twice. You guys beat them once. Something's got to give here. You look, DJ Hayden coming on late in the season for Team White, really has played well. Jake Baker, one of the most elite rookies in the league. All of them can hit threes, Alec Fultz included. But, you guys have an incredibly balanced attack. You guys are one of the few teams in the league to have 3 guys averaging at least 7 points a game. Yourself, Ben, and Baylin all averaging at least 7. So something's got to give. What are your keys to the series here?
Looking at our matchup from a completely unbiased standpoint, considering I do play on Team Red, but I honestly think White has a very strong chance here.
Yeah, I think White is, these are two of the youngest teams in the leagues. Ben is the only person to, have played a full year. And you look, it's just going to come down to, I think defense is going to be the biggest key. They say defense wins championships, and Baylin, the front runner for Rookie of the Year, has to, if Red wants to win, he has to really show out. He has to be an elite defender with that lane.
You say defense. Honestly, I'm looking more at offense in this series because both teams really run more of an offensive game, Red included, and lately, myself included as well, Red has just been really struggling on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, you look, their biggest issue for me, Team Red, is they haven't yet found their identity. You're not sure. They're one of the most balanced teams in the league, but you're not sure on a game-to-game basis who's going to come out and who's going to win you the game. You look, at, Ben, he's a guy who can really dish the ball out. Yourself, you're third or second in the league in assists now. Baylin can rebound. But one of those guys, especially playoff time, big-time players have to make big-time plays. And Red, I don't think they found their big-time player yet. And they haven't necessarily found a strategy that has worked for them consistently. I mean, you look at the beginning of the season, you were hitting a lot of twos, and that's how you win. And late in the season, Baylin was really just getting offensive rebounds and dunking them, and his mid-range jump shots come a long way. And I mean, it still has some ways to go, but he's definitely improved as a shooter. And then Ben has had, his moments of having, 9 or 10 points, 6 or 7 assists, and 6 rebounds. So one of those guys has to really step up and be the alpha dog if Red wants to beat White and then advance in the second round.
I completely agree.
Yeah, I mean, you look at White. I mean, Jake Baker has been...
He's proven to be one of the most solid players in the league today, really coming true to his stats, really surprising player.
Yeah, I mean, you look at this Jake Baker, he was a guy who, at the beginning of the year, we weren't really sure what we were going to get out of him. And he's been absolutely phenomenal for White. I mean, probably one of the more consistent players in the league. And that's just something you don't see often out of a rookie.
If not the most.
Yeah, I mean, you look, Jake, he was an all-star.
Yeah, coming rookie season too.
Coming in the rookie season, and he's helped White, and they've been competitive in all their games. I mean, you look back a couple weeks against Team Blue, they put Team Blue to their biggest test of the season. I mean, they had a lead late in the game.
You also can't forget, too, 3 of their losses had come from a completely separate team that they, weren't at that time, and that team had dropped out of the league. You guys know them as Team Gray. But, like I said, like that proves to me that their record doesn't show who they are.
Yeah, I mean, you look, they haven't played, they haven't been the best team since they've joined, but I mean, they're a team full of rookies, and they've played not terrible basketball. I mean, they started off, they had a Gray's record of 1-6, I believe.
Yeah.
And since that time they're 2-4, which is all of those games have been very competitive. So you give them that first 7 games, this could be a whole different. We could be talking about White as the 3 seed. So I think it'll be a very interesting series. I definitely see this going to 3 games, but I gotta give White the advantage here. I think DJ's gonna have a huge game.
That is if DJ shows up.
Yeah, DJ's gonna have at least one huge game, and Jake's gonna have 3 games easily of averaging at least 11 points and 6 rebounds, and I think Alec hits some big shots. And then if DJ doesn't show up, we're talking about a guy who arguably you can put in the MVP ballot in Mikey Ziegler, who might be subbing for Team White.
Mikey Ziegler, I just want to throw this out there. He's the GOAT,
He's in the league's history, Mikey might be the most talented player on both ends of the both ends of the floor. And I'm thankful that he didn't play the first 2 years, because honestly I might not have a single MVP to my name, because he's just that type of difference maker. So if he plays, White could definitely sweep Red. I think he's not even on the playoff roster yet, but I think he's the biggest X factor in the series.
Yeah, I see DJ too. I see if he comes out and does what he does best, not sharing the ball, which you can see by his stats. His assist numbers do not show that he is sharing the ball. I have talked to both of his teammates, of which they say, they're open, he's not giving them the ball. If he does that, Red can really lock them up.
Yeah, I mean, DJ, you look at him, he's a guy who, hasn't played in a ton of games. The volume of games isn't there, but he's a guy who turns the ball over a significant amount. And you look at, PG, Ben, and Baylin, all guys averaging close to a steal a game. Well, if DJ's giving the ball away, this is a close series, which, White and Red, they've played each other very, very close in the past. 1 or 2 possessions can really, really swing a series. And, you don't want to... I think Game 1's really going to set the tone, because if Red comes out and they just play to the way they're capable of playing, I think that definitely changes it, and White's backs will be against the wall. But I do see White taking this in 3. It'll be a very competitive series. I don't see either one of these teams blowing the other one out. I think all games will be decided by at least 5 points.
Yeah.
Now, kind of swinging forward, talking about the awards, the award ballots. We're announcing them here. We're gonna start it off with the most improved player. The 3 people on the ballot are Jeff Sharp of Team Blue, Ben Dalton of Team Red, and Austin Sweet of Team Pink. You look at these 3 guys, obviously, you can't really say they didn't have bad 2015 seasons, not elite numbers. I mean, you look at Jeff, he averaged
4 points a game.
No rebounds on 50% shooting. This year, took his game to a whole nother level.
Doubled his points per game.
Put 10 points a game, 6.3 rebounds on 79% shooting. Became one of the most versatile defenders in the league. Obviously suffered a freak wrist injury, winning the dunk contest. Ended up being the Rising Stars MVP. He looked like his future was so bright. Cut short due to injury. But he still had a phenomenal 6 games that he played for Team Blue. Helped them get to the best record in mini ball history.
I actually just talked to Jeff the other day. You know, he said he really wants to come back, but that injury is just killing him, man. Yeah. He says he really misses Team Blue. You know, who wouldn't when you got a 12-0 record? But you know,
going to the next candidate, your teammate. Ben Dalton, you look at his 2015 stats, 3.5 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 45% shooting, 11% 2-point shooting. Not great numbers shooting-wise. This year, really upped his game, 8.7 points a game, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, almost 50% shooting, and 40% from the 2-point line. He was in that Rising Stars game along with Jeff. And, you know, he's had his flashes of greatness this year, just being really a triple-double threat. A guy who can, like I said, you know, put up 10 points, 6 or 7 rebounds, and, you know, 5 assists. And there's very few guys in the league that can do that. He's definitely improved as a defender. And, you know, you can see that by his overall stats.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering, you know, what's it like playing with a guy who, you know, he might not have yet found himself yet truly as a player, you know, might not have his game fully developed, but, you know, he's definitely improving as a player each and every week. How's that kind of the playing with the guy who's still finding himself?
You know, it's like you said earlier, there's no real one player on our team that shows out every game. Like, you know, Pink has Aaron Sherman, who stat-wise clearly does show out every game, but we do not have that guy. And, you know, playing with him, it's one thing on the other. It's hard to match his energy, considering you never know. He's kind of an unpredictable player. 1 second he wants to assist the ball, the other he wants to shoot it. And, you know, I'm not going against him anyway, but it is hard playing with a player like Ben Dalton. And, you know, it's hard to keep the chemistry up, considering he has told me now that he doesn't want to play for Team Red in the upcoming year. But going to the playoffs, I guess you got to keep the head strong. And Ben Dalton, as a player, I think he's really improved, and he's doing great for Red this season.
I mean, I think the sky's the limit for a guy like Ben Dalton. You know, we see he has a bit of a handle. He's a guy who really, I think, if he wants to take that next big jump in improvement, he's a guy who could develop, you know, 1 or 2 go-to post moves, and then. Yeah. Especially with the guy who can space the floor like him, he can be. He has
a very good drive game as well. Yeah. Has the soft touch on his layups.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Ben Dalton. He's a guy who next year, I think we could talk about him as a fringe MVP candidate. And then Austin Sweet, a guy who last year averaged under a point a game, 2.5 rebounds, less than 1 assist on 25% shooting. This year, he's taken his game to new heights, 4.6 points. 5 rebounds, 1 assist on 50% shooting. Austin Sweet will tell you himself he's never going to be that huge scorer, but he has at least proved on the court that he belongs in this league. Last year, you know, he could just be left open, and he wasn't really going to make the shot. He didn't shoot a lot of shots. I think he shot 2 for 8 last year, and he played almost a full season. This year, you know, he's averaging 4.5 points, belongs on the court. He's actually an option. He's hit a few twos here and there. He's definitely improved his game a lot statistically.
I would say, yeah, I do agree that he has improved his game a lot statistically, but I still do not think him in this particular ballot is a strong candidate when you have a person like Jeff Sharp and Ben Dalton who, you know, already averaged decent stats. And Austin's Sweet stats, once again, nothing going towards him, but his stats are looking like Jeff's last year's stats. So, you wonder to see, like, that improvement. It really isn't that much when you look at only half more of an assist.
Mm-hmm.
He did double his shooting percentage, and that's amazing. 50%. That's a solid field goal percentage. But, I just don't see him particularly winning this ballot.
And one thing that, it comes up with Austin Sweet and Jeff that doesn't show up on the stat sheet is Jeff, he's a guy who doesn't get a ton of steals. Austin Sweet, he averages around 1.7 a game. He gets a little more than Jeff, but they're both tremendous defenders. I mean, Jeff's the most versatile defender. I played with the guy all year until he got hurt. He's the most versatile defender in the league, the best defender in the league. On ball, he can lock. He played against your teammate Balin, who's 6'4", and he, Balin had his worst game against him. He played against Aaron Sherman, and Aaron Sherman had his worst game. Those are two different guys who play completely different, completely different size on the spectrum. Jeff really played phenomenal basketball against both. Austin Sweet's a guy who he'll pick you up full court, play hard defense, rebound, hustle.
Yeah, you noticed that defense on Austin Sweet. I've just noticed him pressing teams from full court constantly. Team Pink has that mentality as well.
Yeah, Team Pink, they're a bunch of grinders. You look at Sherman, that's definitely his game. Austin Sweet fits right in. Glasses has played really well as of late. Really, Team Pink, they have a culture there, and it starts with Aaron Sherman. It's really just a culture of toughness, no easy drives, and that's why I think they have a lot of success, is that culture.
Yeah.
And now talking about, we touched on it a little earlier, the Rookie of the Year ballot. Your teammate, Balin McGee, averaging 10.5 points, good for 4th in the league, scoring-wise. 10 rebounds, good for 3rd in the league. On 60% shooting, phenomenal numbers from him. Jake Baker, who we talked about a little bit again, 9.4 points a game, 3.5 assists, 5 rebounds on 48% shooting. And then yourself, 7 points a game, 2nd in the league in assists with 4.5, 4 rebounds, and a steal a game.
I think you look at this, and it's really a no-brainer. No, like I said, you said, myself included in this, and Jake Baker being the solid player he is, but I think it really is a no-brainer when you got Balin McGee over here averaging, a double-double a game on 60% shooting. I really do think it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, he's a guy who, we'll talk about in a little bit with a different award. I think, Jake and you have had phenomenal seasons, taking nothing away from you, but Balin has had arguably the best rookie season ever since, obviously, the concession to the league when everyone was a rookie. Yeah. But, he absolutely a phenomenal season from him, and I think this is a no-brainer for him. And it must be a blessing to play with the guy who's 6'4" and can get all those rebounds, and you don't have to grind down low.
I don't think I would succeed there anyway, but it is nice. He obviously 10 boards a game. That really helps our offense. So he's done great this season, and hopefully he will do the same throughout our playoff run. So.
And then now, we talk about the MVP. We just talked about Balin, who is another guy on that ballot. But I think everyone in the league can kind of agree this is a two-horse race with Aaron Sherman, who's the leading scorer of the league at 16.5 points, 3rd in assists with 4.3 a game, 1st in the league in rebounds with 12.2, on 51% shooting. He's 1st in the league in steals with 2.8, 1st in the league in blocks with a block and a half. The 2-point percentage isn't really there, shoots actually under 25%. But then you look at Justin Dodge, the 2-time MVP, 13.7 points a game, 1st in the league in assists with 7.9, 2nd in the league in rebounds with 10.1, 68% shooting, 53% from the 2-point line, and Team Blue has now clinched the best regular season record ever, 12-0. I think it's going to be a very, very close race. Who are you giving this advantage to?
Personally, I know you see yourself on this ballot, but I think Sherman will probably come out with this award because the only thing you do have better than him is assists. And granted, you are 1st in the league in that stat, and you're not trailing behind him too much in all the other stats. But I do think he has helped his team quite a lot because, you have some players like Tone, and you had Andy Sub, and obviously Jeff Sharp, who come out and also gave really tremendous numbers, really helping his team. But then you have Sherman, who, has these 16 points a game, still almost averaging 5 assists a game, more like 4, but with the 12 rebounds, more than a 6'4" Balin McGee. You see Austin Sweet, who Sherman really is helping his team when you have Austin Sweet, like you said, a really great season compared to last year, but with only 4 points, I think Sherman's really pulling it down for his team and getting in that 2 seed. Really is.
To me, because statistically, you look at these guys, they're almost even. I mean, you look at myself, second in the league in points, second in the league in rebounds, first in assists. Sherman's third in assists, first in points and rebounds. The big thing that I think Sherman has on myself is the defensive numbers are there. He's first in the league in steals, first in the league in blocks, and that definitely has provided tremendous help to Team Pink. But I look at myself, the percentage numbers, shooting 68% and 53 from the 2-point line, really taking just smart shots. That's my game. I try to be very controlled, get to the paint as much as possible, and then I can step out to the 2-point line and really hit from there on occasion. But if you look at statistics, I've made 116 field goals this year. Sherman's made 135. I've shot about 100 less shots than he has as well. He's still shooting over 50%, but shooting 65+%. I really think that says something about the shots we're taking and really just the sheer amount of volume of shots we're taking. And I can't, to me, the biggest stat that I have over Sherman and over everyone is the fact that this is a team that went 12-0. And
I completely agree, and I see where you're coming from, but once again, I have to, reinstate, Sherman, like, he doesn't have those 2 other people on your team, like, to contribute to that stat line of your 12-0. You're not doing it all out here, and I know I'm not, once again, trying to, like, slander you or anything, but Sherman has clinched the 2 seed pretty much single-handedly. I mean, Glasses, don't get me wrong, Glasses and Austin Sweet have obviously contributed because Sherman does not have 31 points a game. It's not like that. Like, they are contributing. But, I mean, you look at that, and Sherman has a lot, like, a great amount of points per game than both of his teammates. He averages over half, 31. He has 16.5, and I think that right there validates his MVP. Because you're not doing horrible for your team like you are. You probably do have a lot of points responsible for a game with your 7.9 assists, but still him on there because he has helped his team get this number 2 seed really, I think, validates his MVP.
If he were to win MVP, this would be the first time in mini ball history the leading scorer of the league has won MVP.
That's an interesting statistic you brought up. I don't know where you got that, but
because the first 2 years of the league, Ross Elliott of Team Purple and Team Green, he won the scoring title, and he never finished actually better than third in MVP voting. Just an interesting statistic there about maybe taking a lot of shots and scoring a lot of points is great, but I think really making your teammates better and
also on the fact that he does have 12.2 rebounds a game, 2 more rebounds than you do, and he still is averaging 4.3 assists. It's not like the man's doing it by himself, I know this could really be a close running. Really depends on how everybody feels, but I personally would probably take Sherman in this.
And, I think it'll be definitely the most interesting MVP ballot ever because you have to look at, really, it's going to come down to what the voters find more influential, if they find individual success, or if this is because, you played on the best team and you had the best season as the best player, and you had all that success, which comes down to it more. You look, kind of taking it at a bigger level, you look at a lot of players this year had a better season statistically than Stephen Curry, the league's MVP. He won it unanimously because the Golden State Warriors went 73-9. I don't think anyone in their right mind would tell you that LeBron James or Kevin Durant or Russell Westbrook or, I can name a 10 other players had a better, maybe those guys had better individual seasons than Stephen Curry. But Stephen Curry, he deserved the MVP because of the team success that he had.
Like I said, though, it all does come down to the people voting.
Yeah.
And I think maybe you might have a bit of bias.
Oh, I definitely think, I am biased. I'm taking nothing away from Sherman's season. But to me, the numbers that, I put up, averaging almost a triple-double a game this season, and being the only player this year that's put up a triple-double, I think, that's definitely means something. I'm a guy, that can, like I said, just kind of try to do it all, really try to play under control, shoot a high percentage. But, it'll be, Sherman, honestly, I'm very, very proud of the guy. Watch the guy, first year, he was a guy who really wasn't, he wasn't the star on his team. He had Andy Elliott on the original Team Pink. And, he didn't score a lot. He didn't need to. You have Andy Elliott. You don't necessarily need to be the star. But, last year took that jump into being one of the elite players in the league, winning Most Improved. And this year, he's obviously a legitimate MVP candidate, really a superstar in this league. And, if he can really begin to knock down more efficient shots, shoot a little bit better from the two-point line, he's a guy, we could see him put up 25 a game in the playoffs a few times.
I think I'm personally just surprised, I guess I would say, that you don't see Mikey Ziegler on here. Yeah.
You look, I think the big issue with Mikey not being on here,
the games played,
and numbers
I guess not being technically in the league, but personally, I think he's the best out here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's had a tremendous season, and
he has his own fan club. Have you heard of that?
I have.
He's actually the leader.
I'm the leader, the member, the founder. There's nothing on the basketball court that Mikey can't do, and I hope to one day maybe be as talented on the mini ball court as Mikey Ziegler.
I've actually heard he's very talented at volleyball.
I'm sure he is. He's a guy who really can do it all. I heard
he has a racquetball league too.
I heard he was D1 in football, basketball, baseball, track, tennis, volleyball, squash, and chess.
At Shawnee, he is really just the alpha dog among, a bunch of cats.
Yeah, he's the guy.
Yeah.
Now, kind of moving over, we talked about, the first round playoff predictions. Give me, how do you think the playoffs are going to lay out? Series by series, obviously the winner of the 3-6 matchup, orange versus black, will play the 2 seed pink, and the winner of your matchup against white will play team blue. And then, how do you see the playoffs going? And
I personally could really skip the predictions because I have a very strong feeling it will end up, come championship time, pink and blue. I think there's really nothing you can say otherwise unless these teams really come out. Like we said, orange will probably end up playing pink from our predictions. And, Evan Nofke is actually having a very surprising end of the season. He played very well at the beginning of the season, 20 points a game. But really, I do think probably pink will pull out to the championship, and then it'll be a very close battle between pink and blue. In the championship, probably go. What is the championship now? Best out of 5.
5 games, yeah.
Might go to 5.
To me, I think Team Blue will continue really the crazy run. We've been absolutely phenomenal. We played some of our worst basketball those last 4 games after Jeff got hurt, which is no surprise. That last game with Andy, we were really clicking against you guys. Ended up winning by 11 points. But, before that, we played pink and we played white. We were very sloppy on both sides of the basketball court. Ended up, still getting the wins. I think having this newfound confidence and obviously, just taking the games more serious come playoff time, I think we can definitely advance in that semifinal. I think I wouldn't be surprised if we continue to stay undefeated through that semifinal game. But looking down, kind of in the bracket, looking at that 2-3 matchup, if, that's how it plays out, I think Orange could really test Team Pink. I mean, Evan Nofke is really entering the conversation of being one of the elite players in the league. And Jared Glass is a guy, he just had 24 last game. So he's a guy who can, he's third in the league in scoring. He can turn it up whenever. I mean, he's a volume shooter, but he's a guy who can really, if he can put up 10 a game, Evan Nofke can really, I think Evan Nofke, if he puts up 15 or 16 against Pink, and then, Brock Smith is there, and he can, just stay competitive on the boards, get 6 or 7 rebounds. I think Orange could definitely test Team Pink, and let's not forget, Team Pink lost in their last 6 games. They lost 2 of their 3 games this year. In Orange's last 6 games, they're undefeated. Orange is the second hottest team in the mini-ball league right now, and they're playing their best basketball. I'm not saying that Pink isn't playing Pink's not playing bad basketball, but is Pink playing their best basketball? I think that they would tell you that they're not. And I think Orange is playing at a higher level than Team Pink. Aaron Sherman's going to have to come out, and he's going to, if he's to win the MVP award, which that'll be announced right before the playoffs right after the playoffs Wednesday, the first round. If he's to win that MVP award, he's going to have multiple MVP performances against Orange if they want to go to the championship. But then in the championship, obviously a little bit biased, but Pink has really struggled mightily against us both games we played against them, and I don't see them being able to beat us in a series. I'm not sure if any team in the world, and I'm talking the NBA world as well, could beat this team in a 5-game series. I
think you're a bit off there. I think the worst college team would beat you guys.
No, if you put us on a basketball floor against the Kentucky Wildcats, and you lowered the rims down to 8.5 and gave some mini ball, I think we would definitely stand a chance. I'm not not taking anything away from the University of Kentucky, but
you may stand a chance against the team with the Y.
They're I just think that Team Blue is there's a culture there, and we play
a lot of bias there.
We play hard on both sides of the floor, and I think that's really the culture. Share the ball, make the extra pass.
Didn't you play hard on both sides of the ball?
The record, doesn't lie. Really only been tested one time truly this season. But, going back, to the topic, I do think Team Blue, the talent level that's there is, I think that's what's going to prevail. And I see them, winning the 3rd straight championship.
Yeah, okay.
That's,
pretty much wraps it up.
That's all we have for you guys. Stay tuned for, more videos coming your way. Playoffs start Wednesday.
If you watch the end, Mikey's the GOAT. I think that's all we can say at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much is the whole presentation was pretty much basically because of Mikey. He's the GOAT. So.
Mm-hmm. Team Mikey for sure.
Yep.
All right.